Bring to order a council meeting, August 22nd, 2019, 6 p.m. Please call to order.
Councilman Coles, absent. Councilman Finn.
Here.
Councilman Orzachowski.
Here.
Councilwoman Thomas. Here. Mayor Sherrod.
Pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Get 2 and 4 left.
There was an executive session prior to this meeting to discuss personnel, specifically the police department. Sorry for the delay. Council, there are a few motions that I will recommend based on those discussions. The first will be to direct Anthony Orzachowski, Director of Council Finance and Deputy Mayor, to call for the certification of the civil service list of 4 officers. Need a motion?
Motion.
Give it a second.
Second. Motion to authorize Councilman Orzachowski to certify.
Call for the certification.
Certification of the what?
Civil service list, 4
List.
officers.
Okay.
I make the motion, Lowe's second.
Any questions on the motion?
Councilman Finn.
Aye.
Councilman Orzachowski.
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas. Yes.
Second motion would be to authorize the city administrator to advertise for a special meeting on somewhere between September 2nd and September 6th.
Need a second?
Second.
Questions on the motion?
Sorry, between September 2nd and September 6th.
What's
you mean-
what's the meeting about?
It'll be advertised.
You can't tell us now?
And it might be more than what I'm telling you now.
Well, at least give us some.
Ernie, can we finish doing business and then you can ask your questions? Thanks, Joey. It's not even your turn to
It'll
talk.
be regarding the police.
For you. I'm sure I heard you. Yeah. Who seconded? Dave?
Dave seconded.
Dave. Okay. Councilman Finn.
Aye.
Councilman Orzachowski.
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas. Yes.
Okay, that's it.
No, one more. I recommend a motion to authorize the city administrator to advertise for part-time police officer positions.
Second.
Including any advertisements required for a civil service test. Need a motion.
Motion.
Second. Including what?
Any civil service testing, advertising.
As required.
Yes.
Okay.
Dave made the motion. Lowe's seconded. Lowe's seconded.
Councilman Finn.
Aye.
Councilman Orzachowski.
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas. Yes.
Thank you for your patience during all this time. We now have a presentation. Oh, I'm sorry. Do any public comment on agenda items only? Okay, seeing there is none. We have a presentation of the 2018 audit by Cipher & Cipher.
Hello, I'm Dan Starseski. I'm from Cipher & Cipher. I have here with me Song. We both worked on the audit for the 2018 year, which we've come here to present. We have 3 things here for you. The book is the audit report itself, and inside of that there will be a presentation which is kind of a summary of this audit report. And then there's also the management letter, our comments on the audit. We'll start with the presentation, and we'll go to page 2 here. The audit covered the financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2018. This past year, they're the responsibility of city management, the city administrator, and staff. We conducted the audit with U.S. auditing standards as required, and the opinion is unmodified. That's exactly what you want. Anything other than an unmodified opinion would be something very extremely serious and not a good thing. To the next page here, page 3. There are the financial statements are split into 2 different sections. One's the major, or the upper level, and the lower level. We're going to start with the fund level, the lower level, where the focus is on the major funds. And your major funds here are the general fund, line usage, capital projects, and the Monessen Municipal Complex. And the municipal complex is still considered a major fund because of it's considered an enterprise fund. There's minimal activity flowing through that now because, as you know, the complex was sold a few years back. So, going to page 4 here, we'll talk a little bit about these major funds. The general fund reported revenues of about $3.8 million and expenses of $3.9. The change in the fund balance was a drop in about $23,000. But something to note is that there was a $63,000 expense for an amount that was due back to the pension fund, and that's what kind of flipped the general fund over into a loss rather than it making money. So with that, without that, it would have been out of $40,000.
So I want to make it clear to everybody that where we went from to where we are now, if it wasn't for the police pension that was due, we would have been a positive.
That's correct.
For the first time in a long time.
Well, since 2016. So then the general fund balance sits at minus $368,000, with $45,000 of that is non-spendable. That's any kind of inventory or prepaid insurance, that kind of thing. And then the unassigned fund balance, what's available to the city is a minus $414,000. The line usage fund is a fund that collects fees for sewer and line maintenance. The total revenues there were about $500,000, with $450,000 in expense, for a positive, or an increase of about $70,000. The fund balance there sits at $480,000, and that's all assigned for sewer repair and maintenance. There's also an interfund balance that sits there that the general fund owes to the line usage fund, and I'll talk about that a little bit later when I get to the management letter, but that's something else that will be brought up. The next page here, page 5, the capital projects fund. This looks a little different than it has in the past, mostly because we refinance some bonds through this fund. There's $7.4 million in revenues. That was us refunding the bond and getting that money back to pay off the 2010 and 2012 bonds. And then the expenses there of $7.2 million show the repayment of those bonds. So the net change was $162,000 positive. So that's what sits in that bank account right now. There's some non-major funds. It consists of, the park fund, K-9 fund, CDBG, a couple other smaller library funds. The total revenues across all of those funds is $1.2 million, with expenses of just short of $1.1 million. So that would put a $100,000 profit in those non-major funds as well. And the fund balance is set at about $200,000 for those, and they have various assignments, as I said, for the library, the K-9, the parks, and that sort of stuff. The next page here, page 6. This is a history of the fund balance. As you can see, we've been sitting at a deficit for quite some time, but there was a kind of a big turnaround there in 2015, and then we kind of slowly been creeping back up, but there have been expenses in the last few years that have made that somewhat unavoidable. That's something that we'd like to see start creeping up a little bit more. The next page here talks about why we talk about fund balance so much. The fund balance is your working capital, and lets you, if anything were to happen to the city, you sit right on a river. There could be any kind of number of damages resulting from that, a ton of flooding. It allows you to save up for that, and it allows council to do what is arguably their most important job, and that's to plan for tomorrow, to make the city better tomorrow. So the more fund balance you have, the more you're able to do that. Next page, page 8, talks about recommended fund balance. We are often asked, what should we have as fund balance? The rule of thumb is generally somewhere between 5 and 15% of your current budget. Obviously, right now we're lower than that, but where we would like to see your fund balance sitting is around that $400,000 to 10% mark. The next page, page 9, talking about the budget, which is the other extremely important job of council, is passing the budget, arguably the most important financial decision. The actual revenues were slightly under, 81,000 under the budgeted revenues. I'm sorry, they were actually over, the 81,000 over budgeted revenues. And the reason for that would be there were some demolition grants that weren't budgeted for that we received, so that is good news. Getting grants that weren't budgeted for, that's positive. The general fund expenditures were $236,000 below what we expected to spend, below the budgeted expenditures. And the main reason for that was the city utilized liquid fuels funds much better this year. In prior years, liquid fuels balance had been kind of accumulating when the general fund was taking on the brunt of street and highways expenses. But this year, the liquid fuels was used for those, what it's supposed to be used for, essentially. And then the LED streetlights, I can't express enough how much that can save a place money, especially a place of this size. Some of our smaller boroughs and townships switched to those LEDs and they saw theirs cut in half, but when you're talking with a city, that's significant savings. So that was a big contributing factor to why the expenditures were below budget. The next page here, talking about the budget. This is kind of a picture of what I just showed to you. You'll see the intergovernmental revenues, that's grants, anything you might get from the state. So that came in higher than we had expected. And miscellaneous, you see that's a lot lower, and that has to do with the business office's ability to start classifying things more specifically. So their processes are tightening up, so that's a good thing. We'd like to see that. On the next page here, page 11, the same thing but for the expenses. These are fairly close. That you see this highways and streets came in pretty far under budget, and then, like as I said before, that had to do with utilizing liquid fuels and the LED lights are included in there as well. So the next page, page 12, is a history of where the revenue was, and this is across all funds, all governmental and proprietary funds. And so you'll see that it's remained fairly steady. There's a slight increase in 16, and then 18, that large red portion of the bar is money received for refinancing the bonds. So I singled that out because it's not really revenue, but it has to be reported that way. But that gives you a better picture of how the revenue has come in over the last couple of years. The next page does the same thing for expenses, and you can see that although it's slightly that they have been going down. We were at 6.7 million in 15, down to 5.9 in 18, so that's good. The extraordinary item there, again, it has to do with the refinancing, repaying those bonds because they were refinanced. Shouldn't be really calculated into when you're analyzing the expenses because it would make it look like our expenses were way higher than they really were. So they those two kind of net. Next page this kind of breaks down that history a little bit more. You can see real estate taxes are steady, local enabling taxes are steady. The increases in departmental earnings had to do with an increase in line usage fee over the past couple of years. Then the next page, page 15, is some more revenue. You'll see the miscellaneous is down because, as I said before, the business office is getting better at classifying certain revenues that it might not see on a regular basis. So that's a good thing to see. The license and permits, the changes in that, there were high building permits in 16, there were some projects, and there were a lot of street opening permits in 18, which caused those to spike. The next page, page 16, it's the same thing here, but with expenses. You can see, fairly consistent for most of those. Highways and streets was down and then back up again. The health and sanitation includes line usage expenses, and in 2016, health and sanitation includes those line usage expenses, which is why you see that spike in 16. But then the rest of the years, that was included in highways and streets. So that was more of a classification thing than anything. Something I'd really like to draw attention to is the employee benefits and insurance and miscellaneous. You see that keeps going up. That's something we'll talk about in a couple pages here, but it has to do with the benefits being offered to employees. So the next page, page 17, is more of those expenses. The debt service, the debt service was adjusted to remove the refinancing cost, so that's not factored in there. But culture and recreation and community development, fairly consistent, not very high numbers there. Page 18 is next, and this is what I mentioned before about the employee benefits. The police MMO has gone up from 16, 232 to 294 to 323, and then I think this year's 380,000. That's the trend that we're seeing there. Health insurance went down for a little bit, but is back up in 18, and that's a little harder to predict because of the health cards, the copay cards that the employees get, or that the employees get. So it's kind of hard to kind of predict that out. And that's where those healthcare debit cards are at the end there. About 100, anywhere from 110 to 150,000. The next page, page 19. This page talks about the management letter, which is also in front of your audit reports. It talks about our comments to management about what we found during the audit, anything like that. We already talked about fund balance. Something we like to say at every place we go about investments and cash management is to just watch those wisely, make smart decisions, take your time, don't just put your money anywhere. Internal control. Most of the places, we do a lot of governments, cities, townships, boroughs, a lot of places it's unavoidable that you're going to have duties that don't intersect, or that shouldn't intersect, that do. Now, in the management letter here, we've listed some for you that are avoidable incompatible duties. And in the management letter, those are listed under the treasurer's office, talking about who's opening the mail, who's mailing out the tax bills, accepting the cash, posting deposits, operator reconciling the bank account, that sort of thing. And so we urge you to look through that and take some of those suggestions. The next thing there is bonds and insurance. The procedures noted that the only city official that is bonded is the treasurer, and that is only in his capacity as the real estate tax collector. So that leaves the other revenue open to, it's not protected, it's not bonded. The insurance package from RFP does include a crime policy, but it's fairly unclear as to whether that extends to employee dishonesty. I mean, with the amount of money that flows in and out of this place, that's something I would extremely recommend to have, to look into and see if we can get an employee dishonesty policy. The K-9 fund bank account. These, at some point during the year, were not sent to the business office. They went straight to the police department. We're recommending that any bank statements that are the city's bank statements or go to the city clerk, the accounting office, accounts and finance. They shouldn't go to individual departments. That's what the finance office is here for. It's their job, and it keeps things all in one place and under control. And I think that that's something that might have already been fixed. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But that's just something that we noted during the audit. The next item there lists some bookkeeping matters. This interfund balance, there's $240,000 due from the general fund to line usage. Some of this extends from back before we were the auditors. Some of it, about 60,000, was transferred over in 2016 that has yet to be paid back.
What was the first year?
16 is the first year we were
Then-
auditors.
Okay, so before 16 is when the majority of that money was taken from the line.
Yes,
usage.
yeah, that carried over. So the audit report that was there before we took over, we
Yeah.
started doing the audit, showed a balance of, it was like 180.
What was the year though? Remember the year?
The year that balance was transferred?
Yes.
That I don't know. I don't know how far back it went. It could be multiple years that it approved, but the 60,000 happened in 16.
What was that $60,000 used for?
Operations, and it was an approved transfer, but those are funds that are assigned for sewer and line
Yeah,
maintenance,
they have
so
to
that's
be-
why it had to be paid back.
There's your 250 that you were asking about.
If I recall correctly,
235 then.
Councilman Cervelli mentioned something about being able to pay the MMO on time.
I believe so.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. And actually, I think that he had consulted someone at Grassroots Solutions, who I don't know if you're still working with them or not, but they were at the time, and they told him it was okay to transfer.
I'd be interested to know what years that 180 was pulled out and not repaid.
That would involve going,
To the old auditors, right?
well, you could do that. They should have all of those files. I mean, yeah, you should be able to go back and find the audits, and you'll at least be able to see the balance increase, so you'll kind of be able to figure out
The
where.
controller should know. That's his job.
The next item there, interfund transfers. There were some transfers that, they had appropriate documentation, they were okay transfers. It had to do with, getting more interest on bank accounts. But what we like to see is specific approval in the minutes of every transfer that goes through, because it's just too volatile to see transfers from one bank account to another and there not be council approval. So it's just an approval issue. We looked at all of those ones the ones that weren't approved, there was only like 2 or 3 maybe, and they were okay transfers, and we could see the reason for them, and they were legitimate. It's just we need to see the approval for that. Journal entries, there were some changes, some entries made, posted to the 2018 year after we had already started the audit, which can cause issues with when we come back with our recommended changes. So we just want to make sure that the business office knows to not change anything. As we like to say here, once we come in, it's pencils down. So no more changes after that. The police MMO, minimum municipal obligation, our procedures noted that it was not paid in full by December 31st of 18. It had to do with the lack of cash flow, and it was paid in February of 2019. But that payable sits on the general fund balance sheet, and it is also a receivable on the police pension fund. And then the last item there is the health center rent. There's some small amounts that are left over from when the health center closed that weren't collected. You should be able to send out letters and try to collect those. One in particular, I think Agape, who kind of fled the scene, they owe around $49,000 in rent. I don't know how successful we'll be in getting that back, but it's what's there. And finally, thank you for the privilege of being your auditors. We like coming down here to do the work, and we appreciate that you have us.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I know.
Bottom.
Can I ask one question?
Anybody in council have a question?
None of us have. Do you have a question?
We don't. Do you want to accept anybody from the audience for a question? I put you in.
Just got a simple question.
What's your question?
How much did you charge the city of Monessen to do this?
That is something that that is information council can give you.
Yeah, but the taxpayers pay for this.
Yeah. Well, then council can give that information to you. That's.
Is council going to give the information?
I don't know. I'd have to look at it.
When they're all done,
I'll be
give you
glad
that
to
photo?
look it up. Yeah.
What's that?
When they're done. They're not done yet.
Oh, they're still working?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, guys, appreciate it.
So you would say that the city's moving in a positive light?
The right steps are being taken. We're far from the finish line, but the right steps are being taken.
We can see the finish line.
There, it's on its way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the minutes of the July 29th, 2019 council meeting at the minutes of the August 8th, 2019 work session. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions on the motion?
Councilman Finn?
Aye.
Councilman Rosachowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas? Yes.
He's not.
So there's no presentation? Okay. We have a correspondence, a letter from Carlos Spegler on behalf of the Monessen Amphitheater Committee and Monessen Community Development Corporation. He is requesting the use of the City Park walking track on Saturday, October 26, 2019, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. for the annual Monessen Trunk Retreat. In case of inclement weather, the event will be held at the upper parking lot on City Park.
Second.
We don't need to say
Well,
that.
that's just the correspondence, yeah.
It'll be on the next agenda.
Yeah, the next one.
Jerry, treasurer's report, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
Members of City Council, ladies and gentlemen, the City Treasurer's Report for the month of July. Garbage fees and city real estate taxes for the month. Garbage fees revenues. Garbage fees current. July, we received $2,111. Year-to-date, $294,433.75. Budget amount was $370,000. Garbage fees delinquent. Received $5,962.23. Year-to-date, $62,244.14. Budget amount was $203,000. Garbage housing authority quarterly amount. We received nothing in July. Year-to-date, we received $15,258.75. The budget amount was $67,800. Total budget amount $640,800. Garbage fees collected for 2020. We received for July $75. Year-to-date $485.35. The budget amount was $100,000. City real estate taxes revenue. City real estate taxes current. In July, we received $43,884.92. Year-to-date, we received $2,013,824.21. The budget amount for the general fund was $1,476,638. The budget amount for the debt service fund was $500,000. For the parks, it was $247,750. And the library was $50,000, for a total of $2,274,388. Delinquent city taxes. City taxes prior years collected. For July, we received nothing. Year-to-date, $8,220.60. The budget amount was $1,000. City taxes collected by Westmoreland County Tax Claim Bureau quarterly. We received nothing this quarter. Year-to-date was $95,753.18 for a budget amount of $100,000. Total taxes year-to-date, $2,117,797.99. Distribution is followed for the city real estate tax. The general fund received $1,374,862.83. Debt fund received $465,700.08. Parks fund received $230,540.98. And the library fund received $46,694.10 for a total of $2,117,797.99. That concludes my report, Council.
Thank you.
Need a motion?
Motion.
Okay, a motion to accept the treasury report is read.
Second.
Questions on the motion?
Councilman Finn?
Aye.
Orzachowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Okay. The police report for the month of July 2019. Parking meter receipts, $791.90. Fines and forfeits, $594. Parking permits, $2,000. Miscellaneous collections, $740. Court receipts from district justice offices, $1,862, for a total collection of $5,988.82. There were, July, there were a total of five hundred and 579 occurrences, and Westmoreland County Deputy Department of Public Safety added in comes up to 841. If anybody's interested, we have reports. Please be busy. I'd like to make a motion to advertise a public hearing to be held on Thursday, September 12th, 2019, at 3 p.m. to take public comment on the fiscal year 2019 CDBG program and the housing, community development, and economic development needs for the city of Monessen. Have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Questions on the motion?
Councilman Fian?
Aye.
Councilman Orzachowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
A motion to approve the request from Kristen Joseph, Monessen Ross Draper Rotary Club, to host the third annual Zombie 5K Run Walk on October 19th, 2019, and to close the specific street, subject to approval by EMS, police, and fire departments.
Second.
We have a second. Questions on the motion?
Councilman Fian?
Aye.
Councilman Orzachowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
A motion to approve the request for ISMA, the Italian Society of Mutual Aid, to use the Herman Mahalik boat launch for a car show on October 20th, 2019, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. with a rain date of October 27th, 2019.
Second.
We have a second. Questions on the motion?
Councilman Fian?
Aye.
Councilman Orzachowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Okay. If anybody's interested, I have the library report, the financial report for the July 2019. Motion to approve payment to Mackin Engineering Company for invoice number 47107 for services in June 2019 in the amount of $5,517.26 for the Monessen Comprehensive Plan. For a second?
Second.
Second. Questions on the motion?
Councilman Fian?
Aye.
Councilman Orzachowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Motion to approve payment to WC Inc. for the amount of $905 for construction management and observation services for the 2018 downtown Monessen demolition and site clearance project to be paid out of the capital improvements fund obtained through the bond refinancing. Second? Second? Questions on the motion?
Councilman Fian?
Aye.
Councilman Orzachowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Motion to approve payment to WC Inc. in the amount of $2,172.50 for field view stone riprap? Riprap. Placement coordination, inspection of roadway and sidewalk repair for the 3rd Street drainage investigation and improvement plan to be paid out of the line usage fund. Second? Hello?
I said second.
Oh, nobody
Oh, I'm
heard you.
sorry. Yeah, he did.
Questions on the motion?
Councilman Fian?
Aye.
Councilman Orzachowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Motion to approve payment to WC Inc. for construction management and observation services for the 279 Schoonmaker Avenue emergency demolition and site clearance project in the amount of $2,635.76 to be paid out of the general fund.
Second.
We have a second. Questions on the motion?
Councilman Fian?
Aye.
Councilman Orzachowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Motion to approve payment to WC Inc. in the amount of $5,547.80 for the construction management and observation services for the 2019 citywide inlet replacement project phase 1, construction group number 1, to be paid out of the line usage funds.
Second.
We have a second. Questions on the motion?
Councilman Fian?
Aye.
Councilman Orzachowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Motion to approve payment to WC Inc. in the amount of $1,950 for contractor paving installation, construction observation services for the Dale Avenue pavement repair project to be paid out of the line usage fund.
Second.
Questions on the motion?
Councilman Fian?
Aye.
Councilman Rosachowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Good evening, everyone. There is a streets report and a Parks Department report for July 2019, if anyone would like to see that. But we now have a motion to approve release of construction group number 2 of the 2019 Monessen Citywide Inlet Replacement Project Phase 1, consisting of 8 inlets to Mornack Excavation in an amount of $48,300 to be paid out of the line usage funds.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Questions on the motion?
Councilman Fian?
Aye.
Councilman Rosachowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman Thomas. Councilman Fian?
Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming. I have the code office financials for the month of August. In August, we brought in $10,339 for a total year-to-date of $122,271.46. Code office report for the month as well. A little over a dozen correction letters, just shy of a dozen habitation permits, 9 animal complaints, 43 miscellaneous complaints, and a couple other smaller permits. I have the fire report. In the month of July 2019, the City of Monessen firefighters devoted a total of 146 hours to protect the well-being of the City of Monessen and surrounding communities. As always, thank you to both fire departments. EMS report. 122 emergency calls, 7 fire standby calls, and 1 public service call for a total of 130 incidents. We can't do it. Oh, it is? Okay. Motion to hire Lloyd Aldrich, 530 Rebecca Street, Monessen, PA, as part-time assistant to the code enforcement officer at a rate of $9 an hour.
Wait a second.
Second.
Second. Questions on the motion?
Councilman Fian?
Aye.
Councilman Rosachowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Thank you, Councilman Fian.
You're welcome.
Solicitor?
I have no report tonight.
Classic.
Following is the general fund report, regular account. The prior balance was $844,263.65. Receipts totaled $171,711.58. Total disbursements were $533,785.12, for a final amount reconciled to the balance statement at 7/31/19 of $482,190.11.
Have a motion to accept the controller's report as stated? Oh, you don't yet? Okay, I thought you said it. Sorry about that. Make a motion to approve payment of bills for expenditures from the General Fund, Parks Fund, Recreation Board, Line Usage Fund for the month of August 2019, pending review of my Director of Accounts and Finance and the City Controller.
Second.
There's a second. Questions on the motion?
Councilman Fian?
Aye.
Councilman Rosachowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Motion to approve electronic transfers from the general fund to the payroll fund for payroll for August 2019 in the amount of $107,304.59.
Second.
Questions on the motion?
Councilman Fian?
Aye.
Councilman Rosachowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Motion to approve electronic transfers from the general fund to the healthcare account for healthcare expenditures for the month of August 2019 in the amount of $10,000.
Second.
Questions on the motion?
Councilman Fian?
Aye.
Councilman Rosachowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Motion to approve payment of the Monessen Public Library Fund contribution for August 2019 in the amount of $964.76.
Second.
Questions on the motion?
Councilman Fian?
Aye.
Councilman Rosachowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Yes. Sorry. We'll have public comment now on non-agenda items.
10610 3rd Street, City of Monessen. Two quick questions. On this emergency demo, is that the old fire station? I mean, the old fireman's club?
There's 218 downtown.
Well, the one I'm concerned
two of
about is the telephone pole that the excavator hit. Was that a contractor? Was he paid in full?
Yes.
Why?
There was deductions of it.
Yeah, was it for the sidewalk?
Not the telephone pole.
The telephone pole he damaged, he hit it with the excavator.
Right, and West Penn deemed it didn't need replacement this time,
Have you seen it?
every day.
So why? I just want to know what they're going to do about it before we have a problem down there when it comes down and hits and kills somebody. I mean, that's public safety, but we should address it.
I understand that, and we've
I
talked
mean,
to,
I'm not saying, you know, I mean, that's
I've
just.
talked
I was
talked
in
to
that
West Penn,
department.
but it's their pole,
It's their pole.
so we
Right.
can't do anything about that.
West Penn can issue a complaint.
You don't think,
Take pictures, send
We
it to
got all
them,
the people
and
who
tell
are
them
gonna-
and document that if something happens, it's on them.
We have
Not the city of
documented.
Monessen. But it should be on the contractor who did it.
oh, I agree with you, but I'm saying,
He also damaged the sidewalk.
if West Penn
The curb.
says it's not being replaced, it's not being replaced.
Sidewalk. There's cracks all in it. That sidewalk's all lifted up.
The curb part of that is fixed.
Not all of it. And then the other one is the 3rd Street water drainage. You know, the problem, they fixed one, but not all. The problem lies up above that. Remember, I was the superintendent of the streets department. And every time there's a rain, there's a catch basin right up above there. If Delmore Heppel was here, he would verify it. We would go up there and clean off that grate to keep that water from the spring from coming down. They fixed one, but not the other. So you're gonna have a problem there, because there is a catch basin, and you'll see a mound of dirt from the years of the street department cleaning that off to keep that water from running on the street.
We just approved 8 more
8 more,
inlets,
is
so
that
I gotta
included?
look.
Well, it's not the inlet, this is, you won't even see it. It's on the opposite side. Here's the street, it's on this side, it's on the hillside.
Gotcha.
It's off the sidewalk.
Across the street.
No. It's on that same side of the street that you just fixed.
It's just up further up the road.
It's, yeah, about 20 feet, not even that.
Okay.
You'll see, if you go up there on a dry day, you'll see the water coming down, you'll see the mound of dirt that we used to have to clean.
Okay.
That's your other problem that you're gonna have with ice. That's all I had. I just wanted to know about that pole, because that pole scares me. I got an 80-something-year-old mother that gotta go shopping every day, and all of us got parents that gotta go down there, and that pole's leaning more and more every day.
We're going up there, right, the man that's here, right, that one we fixed is over here. It's nice and new and gravelly. He's saying, you said about 20 feet up from that other one?
Yeah, if they go up there, I'll show them.
Same side of the road, right?
Same side, right up from where they fixed.
So right there.
You'll see the big mound of dirt there from where every time it rains, that spring brings it down there and it covers over the manhole. Or not the manhole, but the grating.
Lois, go ahead. We're never
Okay,
ready for
this
you,
is
buddy.
only 29 Boulevard, I wasn't here for the workshop. Did you people delegate some authority to our solicitor to look into Act 47? Is that what you did?
Research.
Okay, research. And is this gonna cost Monessen more than his salary of $95,000?
The salary isn't $95,000.
Okay, but is it gonna cost money for him to do the research?
A little bit, part of his
I'll
job.
answer that.
Yeah, I'm doing my job right.
Okay, so it's gonna cost the city money for you to do the research?
Yeah, that's usually how it works.
Okay, I was talking to Mike Foreman, and he's with the local government services. They got a free hotline for any council member, and they got a free packet that they give to the cities that need to look into Act 47. So we don't need a professional attorney to really, to do the research. Call him up, and this is his number, 412-565-5297. And if you want his cell phone, 412-318.
We have Mike Foreman's number.
Okay, but while we paying more money out, okay, we're getting ripped off also with all the other government services, with you guys with cost of living, expenses, insurance premiums, pension plans. So when's it gonna stop? Now, there's another two items. One is, you people putting up another cell tower near the school again? Is that right, on State Road?
What?
You guys have contracted another cell tower.
I already told him.
Yeah, but why is the council over there?
5G's coming.
Yeah, 5G is coming, but this is the point.
Exactly.
You got the one tower at the Elks
They're putting
Club.
out mini towers.
Yeah. You got the one tower at the Elks Club, then you're gonna put another tower down the road on the state road, and in between, all the kids and administrators and teachers are gonna get radiated. Okay? If you guys don't believe it, put the cell towers on your house, and let me know which hospital is gonna be checking in 2 years.
I'll gladly put it on mine so I get better service.
Okay, go ahead, put it on.
I'll make you an aluminum foil hat.
Well, first of all, you already lost a bet, you owe me lunch.
I don't make lunch, I never made a bet with you.
Because the Indian guy didn't come through July 31st in buying that Valley, old Valley Independent building, which everybody was saying he's gonna bring 200 jobs.
But we didn't shake on it.
But anyway,
We didn't.
the point is, I do my homework and I research, okay, and you guys sit up here, and it's all special, what do you call it? Information, privileged information. I thought we live in a democracy, or a republic, okay? Maybe from now on, instead of pledging allegiance to the United States, let's bring a Russia flag, and we'll sing the Russian anthem.
Do you know the words?
No, I don't, because, first of all, because I'm not into that. But you guys should know. One more thing. How are you gonna bridge the $242,000 that the auditor said that you owe to the sewage line usage?
235.
Huh?
235.
Okay, 235. How are you gonna pay that whenever you guys already dipped into the sewage line usage?
We have to figure that out, but like I said, I really want to know what it was pulled for in the first place.
Yeah, well, that's under Lou Mavrakis' administration.
The first piece was, the
No.
second piece wasn't.
Not all
Well,
of
the
them.
first piece was.
No,
the second one
no,
was-
no. The first piece, the 170-some thousand,
Yeah.
was prior to his administration.
What was the controller?
The $70,000 was, as he stated,
Okay, that's the
Mr.
controller.
Charvelli pulled to pay the MMO. So we cannot tell you where the 170 and why it got pulled, because none of us were on council and have no clue what was going on.
The controller's been here for over 12 years, why doesn't he have the information? That's the job of a controller. Okay? So we're paying people that ain't giving us any details, and they're not on top of things with their thumbs, okay? So, in this time is really in desperate straits, and we're letting all this stuff go through the cracks.
What are we letting through the cracks? I need you to be.
Did you not pay attention to anything the auditor said? We're doing better than the last 4 years.
We're doing better, but then there was a big red thing. Did you see the big red blow? It looked like one of those hurricanes coming up on the weather report.
No, there's circles on the weather report. Which red bar were you talking about?
The big one that he showed.
The refinance of the bond?
Refinancing bond, that's what that is.
No,
The healthcare one?
yeah, that's
Yeah, that one.
yeah.
Well, I've been complaining about that for a year.
So, is there a hurricane now, place we could go, you know, like a,
Bomb shelter.
yeah, shelter? But this time it's looking for a death shelter.
It's under that cell tower that you're so worried about. How's that?
Yeah, well, put it on your house.
I don't have. I have an
Then let me know.
I have an observatory in my house. I don't have room for that.
Well, I hope you get radiation from the stars then.
Ready for stand-up control?
He's already in comedy.
All right, guys.
Rutland Preston, 28 Monterey Drive. I do have a couple of questions. What are we paying our attorney yearly now? I remember when it was under Lou, it was $160,000 and he made 1 year.
Yeah,
Where we at with
I
that?
think he was at 65 last year.
What about
Last-
this year so far?
Last year, our solicitor was under budget, $35,000. This year, I would have to get you a figure, but I believe he's under slightly. We are nowhere close to this mystical $100,000 number.
So I heard that 106, that's why I was like, how fast?
Well, I can tell you why it was higher then, because the last administration didn't know how to turn on a computer. So
You paid him to do it.
they paid him to do it.
Okay.
But we do a lot of the work ourselves. We write stuff, we pay him to review the work, but we bust our ass to keep the money down.
All right, another question is, I came to pay my taxes, as I talked to Tony about, on July 1st, the day after they were due, and they wanted to charge me the 10% penalty, which the weekend was there, I couldn't make it in Friday. Because I was coming in to get a paper of the demolition units were going, that's supposed to come Friday, I couldn't make it. So, I was getting penalized, it was $200, so I didn't pay the taxes. But then I started thinking back, Jeff and Brescia was awarded not to pay 50,000 of 135, did he? I remember reading that in the paper or something, if I'm not correct. $50,000, and the measly $200 I have to pay. I don't understand that. Oh, he got away with 50 or 55,000.
When was that?
Last year, wasn't it last year?
It was in the paper.
Yeah.
I don't read the paper.
So I just, it blows my mind that, and I was here, I walked there in the building that morning. $200 ain't nothing, but it's just the point.
The last day of the payment period was a Sunday following.
Yes, was a Sunday.
They should waive that.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, they
It
told
shouldn't
me
have been
no.
scheduled for a Sunday, that's the thing.
We can't.
She told me I should have put it
End of
under the
month.
door, I mean,
The
like
last
I
day
knew
of the
that.
month.
I didn't know I could put it under the door. You know, who knows that?
Drop it in the mail on Saturday.
I was coming down to get the paper on Monday. I couldn't make it Friday, so I figured I'd pay my tax. I walked her in the door and it still
I
wasn't
mean,
done.
everybody has the exact same dates. I'm sorry, we can't waive that.
Well, I'm just saying, I would've paid my taxes, it's just a point now, he's gotta wait for it, even though it ain't that much money, but I'm sure there's other people feel the way I did. He should've let that, he should've put something in the paper, they did it in the past. The weekend is the deadline, so you got Monday to pay, and they won't let me do it.
We'll certainly look at that. It was unfortunate. It was.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anthony Natasha, Over Hill Drive. Just expanding on what Brett said, if it's the weekend, and Judy, you're running the show, I guess, with this, but for one day, and he was willing to come down and pay, because, some people don't even pay. So I would have took the money and then argued about the 200 later on, but, at least he's willing to pay, and he's only a day late, and it was the weekend, and I know there was a lot of
wait,
time.
He said that he didn't pay it. Okay, he didn't offer to pay it. He wanted,
Yeah, I did.
wanted the discount.
I walked in here and offered,
Yeah, I
I wanted to
know,
pay
but
my
I mean, you
taxes.
never went to the treasurer and actually went to them, if I recall.
I walked you in that building
That was
Monday
the
morning.
advertisement. That's the advertised date. It's on everybody's thing. And then we would have to make a motion, or we would have to make a statement to everybody in the city that you don't have to pay it by this date. You know what I'm saying? It is what it's published to be. You can't change it after it's published. It's
All
what
right,
it's
well,
always been.
I'm just
Sorry.
thinking ahead what I would have done.
Unless council
but-
made a thing that says everybody gets Monday and there's no late fee, and then they would have to,
Well, until they've done that in the past.
that's a tax. It's a tax that is different than a fee.
Yeah, they got,
Okay?
what you have to do like we do with the state. We look in advance. And if it's going to fall on the weekend, if it's going to fall on the
You
weekend
adjust.
or the
Right.
holiday,
You can do that,
we
yeah.
adjust it to the following Monday. But anyways, that's neither here nor there.
Okay, I'll take.
I didn't know he was going to bring that
I'll actually call
up.
the state and find out if we even have the other.
See if you have the authority to do it. But my question was going to be, so the Citizens Bank building, if I remember correctly, the building next to Citizens Bank toppled over on top of the Citizens Bank building where they used to be. They moved out now. Now it's up for sale. So the building next to it is demolished. Are there any plans now for Citizens Bank to move back in?
No.
because if that's just gonna sit there vacant, there's a whole block here now, most of the buildings are down, I'd call the bank, this is me thinking, if I was the mayor, I'd call the bank and say, well, council and whatever, I'd call the bank and say, what are your plans with the building? If it doesn't sell in a period of time, naturally, you know, pipes and stuff are gonna start to erode, and you get to the situation where tell them to demolish it, you pay for it.
I want to buy their vault door off.
And so then, hey, that's another building you can get down, that's not gonna cost the city. That's all right, that's another building you can get down that's not gonna cost the city demolition.
Okay.
If it's gonna sit there and just not do anything.
First of all, there is a, I believe there's a investment company or real estate company from Texas that's handling that transaction. And that building was also shown to one or two individuals that was as a possibility of using it, that they passed on it, or they have future plans, so it's being looked at.
I'm just saying, give them some time, but somebody needs to call them and say, hey, you're gonna move the bank back in, because if you're not, you've got it up for sale. What are your plans for the future? Because ultimately, I'd squeeze them into making them demolish it if no one's gonna move in. That's a nice corner lot, you may be able to bring something else in. Can I give a comprehensive answer to that? The bank does not own the building, they're renters, they have no intention of moving back in. The owner of the building hired that firm, what you're saying, and he's trying to get somebody to either buy it. But if anyone has to get somebody to demolish it, it's the owner, and the bank does not own the building.
Quite frankly, we're looking at seeing and getting it donated to somebody. Somebody was interested.
Okay, well, that's the owner of the
Hey,
building.
Jeff.
The bank got nothing to do with it.
So it was being displayed as having a potential for somebody to go in there.
Yeah, I know, but the bank does not own it, they have no intention of doing it.
There's an investment company that owns it.
It was just food for thought.
Yeah.
It's something to look at. It may be a way that you can get another building down and not have to pay for it sometime in the future, unless somebody has plans to move it.
Find me a way to knock $500 down, I'll give you better block.
That's true.
Anybody else? I would like to mention that we did have an executive.
Just one question. Can I get a copy of the audit?
As long as it's cool, I was going to put it on the website.
Websites are great. I'm old school.
I would make you.
The copy is right there, right?
You're a wonderful human being. I don't care what they say about it.
Yeah, but he
You
still
make
owes
me
me
a
lunch.
copy.
No, I don't. We didn't
You
take
owe me
on it.
lunch.
That's all.
Then I could see you.
Okay, anybody else have any public comment? I would like to mention that we did have an executive session before the meeting. So, take care of it. So, the motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Aye.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas? Yes.